Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We've got our last day of stress testing here on the channel for wrestling. Actually, our last engine that we're testing, as we're testing out TV Pro Wrestling 2 by Downey Games. Again, another wrestling simulator. So far, we've put Legends of Wrestling by Phil Singer Games and Face to the Mat Pro Wrestling by Play Games through the engine, through the stress testing. Now we're going to give this one a whirl. So, we've got our card here at the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. I've got a couple of impromptu matches also ready to go, at least in my head, in case we need them. So, let's jump right into the action. We've got our opening match in the ring. It's an opening contest scheduled for one fall. Introducing first our babyface from Huntington Beach, California, weighing in at 282 pounds, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. And his opponent, standing 6 foot 8 inches tall, weighing in at 350 pounds, the monster, Abyss. And our referee for this one is Jackson James. And I will mention that I'm very rusty at some of the stuff that goes into this game. So, looks like everything's 1 point unless it says otherwise. So I'm going to detail what all of our dice are for. And there's 5 dice I'm rolling. I'll use the red die for the face and control. In this case, it's Joe as our face. The blue die is for the heel. In this case, it's Abyss. I'll use the yellow die to determine if we go to the high spot chart or the chart for the wrestler's style. And then I'll read black, white, and APA style as with black as my 10s, white as my 1s to get to whatever move we're going for. So, the wrestlers, I'm just going to double check modifiers on some of these, or at least the referees. Okay. With that being said, Jackson James is giving them the final instructions. Fans are filing in here at the Impact Zone, and, well, actually let's roll to see if we've got a pre-match event. We're going to say all of these have low heat, since this is an exhibition card that we're running through. We adjust this based on an actual federation. So we're going to say low heat for all of these. And that's a 14. So we are going to have a pre-match event. Let's see what we've got here. 42 says heel tries to use pepper spray on the babyface, who turns the spray on the heel. So Abyss's endurance is already cut by 4. So, since he got pepper sprayed, there's the bell. Let's start the match. We'll roll first to see who's in control. Both of them have even modifiers on the control rating, so Abyss will be in control of the action to start off with. I don't know why I grabbed another blue die in here. Let's re-roll the first move again, since I had 2 blue dice in here. Okay, Joe will be in control of the action this time. I'm only going to the high spot chart on a 6, in this case, no. 13 for Joe's style. He's technical. That'll be a chin lock. Joe getting on the board early here in the match. Rolling once again. This time it'll be Abyss in control of the action. 2 says no on the high spot chart. 62 will be a back rake by Abyss. Abyss will stay in control of the action. 1 says no, we're not going to the high spot chart. And a 42, Abyss with stomps to the head on Joe. Abyss trying to keep Joe grounded. And Abyss will stay in control of the action once again. That was a 5. 4 says we're not going to the high spot chart. 54 will be a running bulldog by Abyss. Abyss in control of the action here. This time, Abyss will still be in control of the action. 5 still a no. 61 is a knee dive. So that would be onto an ally, but Abyss, we don't have any allies that we're worried about here. Abyss seeming to shake off the pepper spray very nicely here early on. This match has been all Abyss so far. 62 is another back rake by Abyss. And Joe finally getting back in control of the action. 3 says no, and a 15 will be a hammerlock by Joe. Oop, I've been moving Abyss this whole time. So actually, Joe should be there. And we should have added 4 to Joe's pin, 3, 4, and submission. And Joe, okay, so that's 1 point that's 1 point against Abyss. And then we'll reset Joe's endurance to 6. And that's how that works. All right, Joe will stay in control. 6 says this time we are going to the high spot chart. And a 63, huge slam and a throw to the outside. So +4, I believe that's +4 damage. Let me double check that though. So if we see a plus like that, executing a hold. It doesn't tell me what happens on when a +4 like that comes up. Nope. Okay, so we are out of the ring. As Joe throws Abyss out to get a breather. I think we will go with I guess we will call that 4 extra. Actually, that's only for the baby face. That's only for the heel. So Joe just picks up another point, and now Abyss is tired. Now we'll add 4 to his pin and submission, and they're both tired as they've both gone through it once. So we're over to the high spot, tired for both of them. And now we go to that on a 1 on the yellow die as well, which Joe will be sending us there on a 44. He's going for another slam. As Abyss resets again. Remember, his endurance is 2 for the match because a pepper spray attack went awry. Joe will stay in control of the action. 3 says no. On the high spot chart, 41 is a hip toss by Joe. And we'll add 4 again to Abyss for his submission and pin ratings. Come on. And Abyss will take control of the action. 5 says no, and a 24 is an eye gouge. Potential disqualification rating. So we've got to roll for a disqualification on Joe, or on Abyss, I should say. He's a DQ on 11 to 26, except because of Jackson James, it's an 11 to 31 for a disqualification. 33, no disqualification. But as many years as I've been watching wrestling, I have never seen a referee call for a disqualification for an eye rake. Or for an eye rake, eye poke, anything like that. And Abyss will stay in control of the action. We are going to the high spot chart because he's tired, and a 56. Opponent reversal into a 2-point move. So we'll get I believe for a 2-point move, we've got to roll somewhere to get the color of the move. Let me just double check how that works. Has executed a 2-point move. So roll the red and white dice and consult a holds card. Looks like they'll all be the same 64 as an orange colored move. That'll be a Samoan drop by Joe. And we'll add 4 again to Abyss's pin and submission ratings. And then we'll reset that again. This time it'll be, Joe is actually still in control of the action. We're not going to the high spot chart. 41's a hip toss by Joe. And since Joe was in control previously, he will stay in control. Not going to the high spot chart. And an 11's a headlock. And we're back. We're still in the ring. And this time it'll be Abyss taking control of the action. 5 no. And a 26 will be a hammerlock by Abyss. Joe really needs to trigger a pin roll here. He won't there. Abyss will be in control. A 6 will send us to the high spot chart, and a 65. As Abyss lands his finisher, he will land the shock treatment for 6 damage. That'll reset Joe and add his 1, 2, 3, 4. And after a finisher, he will get to go for a pin. Joe's got to roll. As long as Joe doesn't roll between 11 and a 36, he will kick out of the shock treatment. That's a 31. There's the bell to end the match. Your winner, the monster, Abyss. All right, that is our first match on the books, as Abyss will head out celebrating the win, and I think we've got an option for a post-match event. Yes, we'll roll for a post-match event. That's a 14. Commissioner tries to change the result of the match, but is body slammed by an ally of the winner. Okay, so there were no allies. We're not going to worry about that. So that's it for that. That's it for that match. I'll put the stream on Be Right Back, and we'll get ready for our second match here on the card. As Dave's Tabletop Gaming is first to join us here at the Impact Zone. And where is my tag team match? Oh, here it is. Let's see, what styles do we need here? I think we're going to go that and there. Swap out the referee. High flyers for both. Or high flyer for them. And they want brawler. Actually, we'll probably need the tag team charts as well. Ah. Did I have I thought I had high flyer tag team charts. High flyer tag team cage, but that's not what I want. Okay, that's irritating. Let me go through one more time. Oh, that was cage that I grabbed. No, I'm not going to worry about that. And our following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring from Detroit, Michigan, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns. And their opponents from Dudleyville, Brother Ray, Brother Devon, Team 3D. And we are going to set it up like this. And okay, so I need an extra set of blocks. Hold on. I'm thinking how I want to do this. Okay, I know how we're going to do this. Okay. Actually, what am I doing? I've got a set of pink blocks right here that are perfectly good for this. Actually, I do need... Sorry, you can probably hear me muttering in the background here, figuring out how I want to do this. Okay. For color schemes, black on the heel side, Team 3D is going to be my heels for this next match. Black is going to be Brother Devon. And yellow is going to represent Alex Shelley. I'll grab an arrow token so I can represent who's legal for each team. This is me color coding everything once again because, as usual, I am a control freak. Chris Sabin's going to be starting, as will Brother Ray. I realize that the arrows are probably pretty hard to see, so that's admittedly going to be mostly for me to help keep everything straight. So Brother Ray goes to a pin on 11 to 22. Devon is 11 to 23. Excuse me. Sabin is 11 to 21 on pin. And actually, I need to check submissions as well. 21 for Brother Ray. And also 23 for Brother Devon. And endurance points are a thing as well I need to be aware of. 6 and 6. Admittedly, I didn't have a tag team match when I did my face to the mat stress test last night. All right, then Sabin is 11 to 21 on pin and submission. Shelley, who's going to be in yellow, is 11 to 22 on pin and on submission. 7 endurance for both of them, at least to start with. I think we are all set there. So once again, we're going to roll for low heat to see if we get a pre-match event. That's a 21, so we are going to have another pre-match event. And we have a 46. Babyface slips and falls during the entrance. -3 endurance to the babyface this match only. -1 heat to the babyface. That would be related to running the Federation, but I'm not doing that yet, so both of them go to 4 heat, or both 4 endurance, I should say. I'm going to take a quick drink of my Crystal Light before we start this match. Everybody's all set here at the Impact Zone for this tag team match, and there's the bell, and let's start this match. They're both +1 on the control factors, so they're even. We're going to roll again. That is Sabin in control of the action to start with. 1 says we're not going to the high spot chart, and a 54, that'll be an Enziguri, a double team Enziguri by Sabin, or by the Motor City Machine Guns. They're on the board first. Motor City Machine Guns will stay in control, not going to the high spot chart, and the 12 is a Hurricane Rana. As Sabin showing off his athleticism here. Brother Ray is probably going to be looking to tag out here soon. He won't get a chance there. 1 says we're not going to the high spot chart, and a 56 is a rear chokehold. For another, that'll be for 1. Actually, no, they're the babyface, so that'll be a Fujiwara armbar instead. And tagging out is on offense. I believe you got to be on offense to try to tag out. Tag team match. Wrestlers can tag to enter the match after any team has 1 control. Okay, so yeah, they got to be in control to tag out. That's how I'm going to rule that. And the Motor City Machine Guns will stay in control. 3, no on the high spot chart. 41's a slingshot into the turnbuckle. Sabin's going to try to tag out to Shelley here. On an 11 to 36, he'll tag out, and he will. Shelley will tag in. As they're keeping the ring cut off. Motor City Machine Guns will stay in control, not going to the high spot chart, and a running knee smash as Shelley now shows off his athleticism. This has been all Motor City Machine Guns so far. No on the high spot chart. And a 56 will be another Fujiwara armbar. So now Brother Ray has got to add +4 to both of his. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yikes, Brother Ray in a bad way here. As we've got another attack here. Another control sequence coming. Still the Motor City Machine Guns are in control. That was a 3. 6 now because they're tired. We are going to the high spot chart. So high spot for a 26. Uh-oh. Finisher B. Skull and Bones. Ray will get hit again. And I think we were there. So Ray's got to add 4 again. And they don't have Savvy, so this is going to be a pin attempt by the Motor City Machine Guns. Shelly's going to try to pick up the pin on Brother Ray. Brother Ray needs to roll outside of an 11 to 34 or he's going to get pinned. There's the bell to end the match. Your winners, the Motor City Machine Guns. So after slipping in the entrance, the Motor City Machine Guns dominate Team 3D to pick up the win. And I think my initial impression... Well, I'll talk a little bit more once I get the match set up, but let's see what our event would be. 53, if the babyface won, Ally runs to the ring and both beat down the heel. So they would beat down Team 3D. I'm trying to decide what I'm doing with my third match on the card. I think here's what we're going to do. I'm going to change the match. I originally had a triple threat scheduled for the main event. I'm kind of giving it away a little bit. Wasn't much of a match for the Dudleys. No, it wasn't. And remember, Dave, this set is actually from 2011 TNA. So they were Team 3D at the time. But no, this wasn't much of a match. And I think that's starting to factor in a little bit in terms of how I'm feeling about this game. But let's get to our final match on the card, so we can wrap this one up. And then let's wrap this one up so far. And actually, no, we've had one face and one heel with a win here. Abyss was our heel in the earlier matchup. But yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns dominated this one. So I'm going to put the stream and be right back, and we'll get set for our main event. Oh, that's what you're saying. So far, Face to the Mat is a much better engine. Yeah, that's part of what I was going to talk about later. But yeah, I might as well just kind of let the cat out of the bag now. That yeah, I'm definitely a lot warmer to using Face to the Mat as my engine for a wrestling federation if I were to pull the trigger on it. I don't know. I'm not really feeling a lot of the story. I'm not really feeling a lot of the mechanics that come in. Plus, both of these matches have been like 5 minutes, if that. But yeah, so far I'm not all that impressed with this Downey engine so far. Let's see. I don't know why I've got... Oh. You go there. There. This is also I think this is another part of the problem I'm having with this engine as well, where there's more downtime. There's more downtime where you're getting, when you're switching out style cards, when you're switching out the style cards as well. But we'll talk more about that as we're wrapping the show up. Our main event here at the Impact Zone is another singles match scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. And his opponent from Hendersonville, Tennessee, Jeff Jarrett. We'll roll for an event before we get this match started, once again on low heat. And for once, we're not going to have a pre-match event. What we will have, however, is Earl Hebner being in charge of the action in this match. So, there's the bell. Let's start this match. Both of them are +1 on control factors. And we will re-roll that. And that'll be Jarrett in control of the action to start with. Not going to the high spot chart. A 61 is a belly-to-belly slam by Jarrett. Jarrett's still in control of the action. Still not going to the high spot chart. And a small package. He's going to roll pin already. Angle's an 11 to 22. 55, Angle will kick out with no problem. Jarrett will stay in control based on the tie and being the last wrestler in control. Not going to the high spot chart. 32, closed fist to the head and a cut point on Angle. Starting to work that head. We should have scored a point for the small package as well. Angle will finally get in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart though. 63 is an elbow smash to the head of Jarrett. Jarrett will pick up a cut point as well. Jarrett will get back in control of the action. We are going to the high spot chart, and a 34 is a running clothesline for 3 points. So actually, that should be Angle going to 2 points. Jarrett will stay in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart, and a 66 is a face breaker by Jarrett. Jarrett's still in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart. 62 is a leg scissors choke, which means Jarrett's got to roll for a disqualification. Actually, that's his first DQ point. Actually, he's DQ'd on, we'll give him 1, and then on a 3 we'll start rolling for disqualifications. Because I don't want my main event to end just like that. Angle will take control of the action here, no to the high spot chart, and a 45 is a reverse arm lock because he's the babyface in this match. That's what that's for. That makes sense. Okay, Angle's still in control, no on the high spot chart, and a 53 is a body slam by Angle. Trying to get working on Jarrett slowly here. Jarrett will take control of the action, not going to the high spot chart, and a 63 is an eye gouge. Once again, I've never seen a wrestler get disqualified for an eye gouge ever in the history of wrestling. So we will add Angle's modifiers, 2 on pin, 4 on submission. Angle will take control of the action. We're also using the high spot tired chart for Angle, which we're not going to here, and a 41 is a hip toss by Kurt Angle. Come on. Angle staying in control of the action by virtue of being the last wrestler in control. No to the high spot chart. 33 is a leg grapevine. Angle the submission specialist. Jarrett getting in control of the action this time. We are going to the high spot chart, and because Angle's tired, we're using the high spot tired chart. 32 is a pile driver. Ooh, right on that bad neck. 4 points, and Angle's got a roll pin. He's an 11 to 24 to not kick out. That's a 50. Actually, let me double check that, because I might have been doing this wrong the whole time. If I'm right, though, Angle will kick out. I'm just going to double check that. I can immediately make a pin after executing the move. So, making a pin. If the result is less than or equal to the wrestler's pin rating, he's been pinned. Okay, so yeah. Angle will... Oh wait, after making any modifications to the pin rating... Okay, oh, so I'm supposed to be rolling on the red die, but Angle kicked out anyway. Okay, which die are we supposed to check for on that? If the result from the blue die... Well, I'm using the blue dice for control. Jarrett will stay in control. So we'll say 4, I'm using that as my pin check. 25 on Jarrett's chart is a suplex. So I've been doing pins wrong this whole show. Jarrett's in control, no high spot, and a 12 is a shoulder block off the ropes. Let's see. Jarrett stays in control, no on the high spot chart. 66 is a face breaker. Jarrett's still in control of the action, no on the high spot chart. 23 is a flying shoulder block. And once again, we add Angle's modifiers. Angle is exhausted at this point. But he will take control of the action, no on the high spot chart. And a 51 is an overhead flip by Kurt Angle. So now Jarrett's got to add his modifiers. So I'll use yellow to replace what would have been the blue roll. Jarrett will get back in control of the action. We are going to the high spot tired chart. And a 14, uh-oh, that is the stroke by Jeff Jarrett, as Jarrett lands his finisher. So he's going to deal 8 points of damage, and now Angle's got to roll immediate pin. 2, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to roll, so we're going to use yellow to replace the blue die of checking to see if he makes the ropes. Angle does make the ropes. 54, he would have kicked out anyway. So back over to Jarrett, back over to the action. Jarrett's still in control. No on the high spot chart. 43, clothesline over the top rope, and they're both out of the ring. So now they're outside the ring. Jarrett will most definitely stay in control. We are going to the high spot chart. I forgot to see if there's a high spot chart for the outside of the ring. I don't think there was. Not that I saw, and I looked twice. Actually, I was looking more than that. But I'm going to humor myself and look again here. High spot cage. That's not what I'm looking for. Nope, looks like we've just got the outside chart. So a 16 outside the ring, whip into the ring post for +2 damage, and we're back in the ring again. Jarrett will stay in control of the action. We are going to the high spot chart. 25 is a finisher B, the acoustic equalizer with the guitar, El Kabong. And now Jarrett's going to try to roll a pin again. Looks like if it's a... Oh, so actually I've been doing it backwards. So if it's a 6, he makes the ropes. And he does make the ropes. Back to it, as Jarrett will stay in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart, and a 22 is a fireman's carry takedown. Jarrett has been in control of this match. He will stay in control of the action, no on the high spot chart, and a 62 is a leg scissors choke. So now we are going to roll for disqualification. He's an 11 to 24, +1 for the referees, and 11 to 25. That's a 33, no disqualification. Another move that I've never seen anybody get disqualified for in the history of my time watching wrestling. Angle will take control of the action this time. Jarrett is tired, so we are going to the high spot chart. 31, a figure 4 leg lock. As now Jarrett's got to roll his submission. He's an 11 to 25 to submit. That's a 64, no submission. Actually, we should have rolled that as well. Jarrett would have made the ropes anyway on the submission. Jarrett getting back in control of the action, no on the high spot chart, and a full Nelson by Jarrett. Angle will get in control of the action again, no on the high spot chart. 14 is a snap suplex by Kurt Angle. Angle stays in control, no on the high spot chart. 33 is a leg grapevine. Jarrett will get back in control. We are going to the high spot chart. And a 52 is a 2-point move, so we'll get a color of the move. 52, that'll be a black move, and that'll be a power slam by Jarrett. Jarrett will stay in control of the action, going to the high spot chart. And 24, there's the stroke again by Jarrett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Jarrett nails the stroke again. And now he gets an immediate pin roll. Angle doesn't make the ropes, but he does kick out of the stroke. Okay. Jarrett will stay in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart, and a 65 is a snapmare takeover by Jarrett. Jarrett stays in control of the action, not going to the high spot chart, and a 55 is a single leg Boston Crab. And now Angle's got to roll submission. He's an 11 to 42 to submit. He doesn't make the ropes. That's a 15. There's your bell and the end of the match. Your winner by submission, Jeff Jarrett. And that'll do it for this play of TV Pro Wrestling 2. And I think I'm with you on this one, Dave. Face to the Mat is a much better wrestling engine than this one. This one I think felt... I'm not going to bother rolling for a post-match event either. The thing is, this engine I think was a little bit clunky for my taste. There's also, to me at least, the issue of hardly any narrative to speak of. It's just... That's the thing I think I liked so much about Face to the Mat. And yes, you're probably hearing some of this stuff starting to hit the garbage, because I'm not seeing myself doing anything with this engine on the channel. So, yeah, a lot of the stuff here is actually going to start hitting the bin. But this engine to me felt like it was very clunky, and it just didn't really have I just don't think it has the narrative potential, really, to capture that ebb and flow of a wrestling match. It doesn't really capture the flow of the wrestling match that well. The one thing it does well, the one thing it actually does better than Downey Games, in my opinion, that it does better than the other engines, is it really captures, to me at least, how a wrestler's endurance really goes down over the course of the match, making it easier to beat them during the course of a match. Neither of the other two engines really did that, in my opinion. Legends of Wrestling really did it the least, and as far as I can, for my money. Face to the Mat was a little bit guilty of that as well, but it did preserve the finishers being the most devastating moves in the arsenal. So there's not nearly as much kicking out of finishers in that game as there was in this one. I think here in this main event, I think Angle kicked out at least 2 finishers before he finally succumbed to, of all things, a single leg crab. That's usually a transition move in most matches that I've watched. I think it's very rare that it's a finisher. I think the last person to use it as a finish was probably Lance Storm way back in WCW. The endurance factor, yeah, that is really the one high point for this game. And I think it's the one thing that, of the 3 engines, this one does the endurance the best. Where Legends of Wrestling was definitely... Well, I'll have more to say about that, but for now, I'll go ahead and finish that thought. But I'll wrap this video up because I do want to play... I'm going to try to play one more game tonight. And after that, we'll sit and chat a little bit about some of my wrestling musings coming out of stress testing. So, yeah, as we've mentioned... This engine does the endurance the best out of the 3. Legends of Wrestling, it's essentially a static pin number, So no matter how long a match goes, like say you've been in a match for 30 minutes, the pin number is always going to be the same pin 5 in Legends of Wrestling. Whereas in Face to the Mat, it's a similar thing as well. It's always going to be based on the TV grade. There's house rules I think there are advanced rules for both of those where you could account for fatigue over the course of a match. But this is the one engine that really does that the best out of all three of them. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. As I mentioned, I do want to play one more game later tonight. We'll see how that goes, though. That'll probably be sometime in the evening when I get to that. As for what's scheduled on the channel, Wednesday, we're playing G.I. Joe the deck building game by Renegade Studios. Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook as we're making the entree, Paddington Burgers. Sunday next week, we have another new game debut on the channel as we are headed over to Manila in the Philippines to play Manila the Savage Streets 1945 by Revolution Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.